this moving. It's Young People Nation.
Welcome to Young People Nation. Listen to us weekly as we commit to bring transparency, healing, and truth to the everyday situations in life that might bring you down. Join us for your weekly dose of inspiration. Thank you for listening to Young People Nation. Make sure you subscribe so you never miss an episode. And now, here's your host, Eugene and Donna Perry.
Let's go. Christ is the foundation. Know his word gon' lead us. Know I'm already going. Taking steps I believe in. Giving guidance to the youth. Giving guidance to the lost. Giving the world to the project. Lead them back to the cross.
Welcome to session 3. We're back with Young People Nation. Welcome back, Dr. Oni, the only Oni.
Yes.
How you doing, ma'am?
I'm well. I'm wonderful.
Now, in this session, we're going to be talking about the education system for the diagnosed disabled. Okay. But we want to talk about Miss Poe, Dr. Poe, a little bit for those that did not listen to session 1 and 2. This woman is phenomenal in the community. She is huge with mental health and a voice for the disabled. She has children's books out. She has she's the founder of Filling in the Gaps, an organization committed to providing education, advocacy, and support for those grappling with mental health challenges and disabilities. And this is really a real thing in our community. So we are grateful for you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming out and saying, hey, this is what the people truly need, and having a heart for it. So thank you so much. She is a beacon of light and empowerment to the community, to the voices that can't quite speak for themselves, but she's that pusher. She said, no, this is what they need, and let's do this. And what I love about talking with you, you gather with other people, and let's get the job done.
Right.
Welcome.
Thank
Dr. Poe.
you. Thank you. I'm so honored to be here.
Yes, and so she was in the education center, I don't know why I keep saying center, system for how many years? 16 years. And so you felt that there was more that you needed to do.
Right.
Okay? What I like about that is that you didn't try to flourish in a system that wasn't ready to flourish with where you believe God was telling you to flourish.
Right.
I like that. So you made a move. So let's talk about the education system and for the disabled. Now, the school system and the disabled. Now, where are we, and what can we do to do better?
You know what? I want to add one statement to what you said about me flourishing. I tried to stay for so many years and flourish, and what I realized is that I wasn't blooming as big as God has desired for me to bloom.
Okay.
And so just hearing you say that made me think about the years that I stayed when I feel like that was limiting the reach of my voice.
Okay.
Right? And the school system, where are we and what can we do better? The school system has a lot of supports in place for individuals that are diagnosed with disabilities.
Okay.
But there are a lot of supports that need to be in place that are not there. You know, and it's a big pill to swallow because there are so many students that have complex needs. And I think sometimes they're often misunderstood. I remember going back to when I first became an educator. I didn't go to school to become a teacher. Okay. So I was a career change teacher.
Okay.
Right? So when you come into the school system, everyone is required to take a course called the Exceptional Child.
Okay.
I love that course. Okay. Because although, you know, out in the world, you can see that people have all of these complex differences or complex things, I really didn't know a lot about it. So the Exceptional Child course is a basic course. You know, it may talk about Down syndrome. It may talk about like intellectual disabilities, mild intellectual disability. It may talk about autism, but on a surface level.
Yes.
Right. So, you know, as a first year teacher, you get this course and you think, okay, I know about autism now. You know, I'm prepared to go into a classroom and teach children with autism. But then all of a sudden you get a class full of students with autism. That's like on-the-job training, right? And when that on-the-job training came to me, I didn't feel like I was adequately prepared.
Okay.
And to know to no offense of the educational system, because it's only so much you can give a person at one time, and you can't give everything that's needed. Even if you try to give everything that's needed, you can't absorb it. So I basically immersed myself in trying to learn as much as I could from what the research said, from what the book said, but what the child in front of me was saying.
Okay.
Right.
You know, and I think my best experience and my best education, my best training has really been understanding the needs of the children who have been put in front of me.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's because my class started getting loaded up.
Okay.
That first year, I taught nutrition and food science, and it was known as the cooking class.
Okay.
And so there was another classroom there, and I co-taught with that teacher. She would bring all of her students to the class, and we did a lot of lessons together. But she knew more than I knew how to make the lessons relevant to the students. So instead of a child coming into class and you think they can't read and you put them in a corner, then we figured out how to make the learning relevant for them.
Yes.
And I feel like the school system needs more of that, because what I found is that when they came up with No Child Left Behind, and you know, there was a push for inclusive education, that's nice, but inclusive doesn't mean I'm going to include this child with a complex disability in a classroom with students that don't have as many disabilities and just sit them in there. That's not inclusive.
That's right.
That is
Right.
just placement, you know. And I
Yes.
see a lot of that placement in the educational system, and the students are really not getting what they need, what they need to thrive, what they need to be successful, what they need to reach the level of educational attainment that they can reach.
Yes.
Because everybody can't reach the same bar,
Yes.
but everybody can reach a bar. And I think that's what's lacking, is that the bar is not individualized enough that the child can reach their level of success.
Wow.
I heard what you're saying, but let me just break it down.
Break it on down for me, Mr.
for these
Perry.
people right now. Your leaders out there need to stop doing studies and start putting stuff into action. And it's just like this. Children with disabilities and mental health problems just like anybody else. And what the problem is, just picture a sprinter. Each person set their blocks up in a different manner. They got different steps. And no two person got the same block setting. So these children with these special needs and these special abilities in those areas that need the help, each one is different.
Right.
You can't teach them all the same way.
Right.
And then when you put a classroom full of them, 30 people
Yes.
and one teacher, each one need to be individualized to learn. This person may learn by you speaking lower. This other person's learn by you speaking louder because they have a hearing disability and all. And then another person, you have to get closer to them because they have a vision disability. And then the other person, you need to just be able to touch them in a way that they'll be able to understand you because they have a social disability. And in all that, each one is different. You can't have one person trying to teach 30 people with different needs.
That is so. Yes, that's exactly right. And a lot of the instruction does need to be individualized. And what's happening, one disservice to the school system, or that I see, is that the educators are not equipped
Right.
with the knowledge and the skill set to handle that. A lot of educators, like I said myself, I was straight out of the industry.
Yes.
You know, I didn't have a background in educational pedagogy. So, but I'm self-taught.
Okay.
But there are a lot of educators who teach one way.
Right.
It's one track. And that doesn't work.
Yes.
You know, that doesn't work. There's a special skill set that is necessary to be able to recognize the individualized needs of your students, whether they have a disability or not.
Yes.
You know, how do you reach all students?
Yes.
And that's one of the things I say. One thing, if I could give to any parent or educator that's listening, is a trick for a teacher, is you have to reach them before you can teach them.
Right.
And a lot of what's missing is the ability to reach. You know, reach them first, teach them, and then take them to where they need to go and where they can get. But the it's so much I could say about the school system and the needs. But Mr. Perry, is one thing I want to touch on what you said about these studies.
Right.
Because a lot of times when school systems, they're doing studies, they call on the experts, right?
Right.
And they call in, and I'm well educated, so I'm not knocking anybody
That's
that has
right.
higher education.
Yes.
But sometimes those of us have higher education have it because we studied something. But when you could study the students that's in your class
Yes.
Right.
and call on the expertise of the students and the parents,
Yes.
do a study there.
Yes.
Don't bring in outsiders all the time to tell you what your school system needs.
That's right.
And you haven't talked to the people that are in your school system.
Yes.
Right.
Because a lot of studies are not being done. They're not asking us. When I was in the school system, I used to think, well, who's going to ask me how I feel about being in this classroom? You know, there's a lot of top-down leadership that think they know what's really going on, but
Right.
they don't have their feet on the ground.
Yes.
If you want to do a true study, put your feet on the ground and get in the land where the people are and talk to them. Listen to what the students say they need and what
Yes.
the parents say they need for their students. And then use those results to drive a more effective school system.
That's good.
Yeah.
Having a directive,
Yes.
being direct with the person and
Yes.
ask them.
Yeah.
That's vital.
It
So we
is.
hope that anyone that's listening, that's in the community, that has authority,
Yes.
that please go to the ones who are doing the work
Absolutely.
and the parents and that child.
exactly.
Let's break it down a little farther.
Let's
it on.
let's break it
All
down.
right. It's this right here. A book is not going to talk back. A person that's sitting there before you, create that dialogue with that person.
Yes.
And therefore, the book that you read is not what you see sitting in front of you.
Right.
And therefore, his needs are different than the words on the pages.
Absolutely.
As simple as that.
That's good.
That is.
That is good. And as we looking at our young people in the community, once you start talking like this, you're not so quick to say, "Oh, he's bad.
Right.
He is horrible." You know, because you could if you go all the way back, like we had a recording with one young man. He said he recognized now at 23, 24, all the way back at age 3 and 4, he was dealing with depression.
Right.
Okay, so
Wow.
the danger of not recognizing, and I'd say parents, community, churches, youth programs, you've got to have people like Dr. Poe on your team that can recognize it, because they are gifted to connect with these young people.
Right. Oh man, when I hear you say recognize, I think about though it's one thing to not recognize, but when you recognize and you don't do something about what you recognize,
Right.
then that's even more dangerous.
Yes.
And I think that's a problem that I personally have experienced in the school system. If I can recognize an issue
Yes.
and see a viable solution,
Yes.
and can clearly articulate that this is a problem, but then the people who are responsible for addressing the problem turn a blind eye to it. So it goes beyond recognition. It goes
Yes.
it goes towards doing something with what you recognize.
Yes.
And we don't have enough leaders and people that are willing to do what's right with what's actually happening. They
Yes.
want to turn a blind eye to it, or they want to say, okay, well, if it's just happening to this person or this set of people, then it's okay. Because I've had situations in the school system where particular parents can come in, and I feel like this. If a child has a special need or has an IEP or a disability, then they all need to get what their IEP or what their special need called for, right? But there are some parents, and God bless the parents who advocate for their children.
Yes.
Because I'm one to advocate for my children.
Yes.
But there's some children who don't have parents who advocate for
Yes.
them, right?
Yes.
So it is the responsibility of the people who are in charge of that school and school system to hold that person's need just as high as they're going to hold the one who has a parent coming in the door.
Yes.
And what I have found in my experience is the parents who we knew were coming, then those students automatically got what was right. But the students who didn't have anybody coming to fight for them, then they could be pushed in the corner. Not on my watch.
I hear you.
Not on my time, and not if I recognize it. Because what about that baby?
Yes.
Because that's somebody's baby.
Right.
And that's one of my downfalls with the school system, is that the way they pick and choose what they want to do and who they want to support. And I'm saying they, And you know, the system is made up of people. I don't like to use words like they, but if anybody hearing this is a part of a system that is not doing right by a child, think about it as if it was your child.
Yes.
Do the right thing.
Yes.
Recognize what's going on and do what's right with what you recognize. We don't have enough people doing that.
Well, I say it like this here: Educational Council and the leaders that sit from the board in Richmond County and some of the other places, Burke County and all them. You need to take time out to come into a classroom and stand there and watch what these teachers go through with your kids, and you will understand what is needed. And what is needed in a lot of these situations is more teachers in the classroom, because this thing with mental health and disabled kids and all like that is on the increase.
It
Yes.
is.
It's not on
Yes.
the decrease.
Right.
Yes.
And by them being there and have the adequate personnel there makes it better. Because you've got 30 kids in there and all of them got different disabilities,
Yes.
and you only have 2 people in the classroom, it is not going to work. You can't dictate what one person do. I remember when I was at Youth Challenge and not no disrespect for them. I was just starting out and I couldn't handle a kid coming off heroin.
Oh wow.
And I couldn't handle a kid that was coming, didn't have his medication for ADHD. And I ain't had no training in those
Right.
areas at that time, what was going on. I just used the wit that I had, but I had no idea what they were going through because I wasn't trained in those areas. And then I had 40 kids to a platoon. So each one was different, and each one had medication to take. And therefore, when they didn't get their medication, you had a jungle in the classroom.
Yes.
And you expect adults to control that. And then time something go wrong, you find us to have the blame. Well, you was the adult.
That is so powerful, Mr. Perry. And that makes me think about those children, and like the guy you talked about, I'm assuming guy, I'm sorry, but a child coming off heroin and a child with ADHD, they need so much, but when they don't get what they need, then it manifests in behaviors.
Yes.
Yes.
And then what happens is the system or the people in control, they start trying to manage the behaviors and they attack the behaviors, and they never look at what's causing that
Right.
behavior or what's the need that's wrapped up in that.
Yes.
And then we put them on a cycle of trouble.
Yes.
We put them on a cycle of ISS and then suspension and then alternative school and
Right.
then jail. But we never address what led to the heroin addiction in the first place and how to help them manage the ADHD.
Right. Yes.
It's not enough of that. And then what I also see is, I was thinking about back to what we were saying about like school board members and even principals and people
Yes.
in positions of leadership and authority coming into the classroom. Talk to the students.
Yes.
And
Yes.
let them use their voice and amplify their voice. I had a situation once when there was a board member that came down to a classroom that I was in, and the board member whispered something to the teacher about to the student about what was going on in the class, and the student was very truthful about what was going on, but the truth didn't sound really good about what was really going on in the classroom. And then a person in leadership got upset with the student for
Right.
saying that to the board member.
Wow.
Like, you shouldn't have said that.
Yeah, I'm
and
embarrassed.
I disagreed. They
Yeah.
were embarrassed.
Yes.
Right. But
Right.
I disagreed because I said a person's truth is that person's
Yes.
truth.
Yes.
Right.
We shouldn't have to code the truth,
Yes.
hide the truth, color the truth a certain way,
Yes.
depending on whose ears it falls on.
That's right.
The truth will always set us free, but
Yes.
our children are not in positions, or they're not encouraged to speak the truth, and they're suffering. There's so much suffering going on in these schools.
Now I'm gonna tell you this Gen Z, this group here, they're gonna give it to you.
They really
yeah.
are.
So you have to tell them, because I work with some of them,
Uh-huh.
and you have to say respectfully,
Yes.
okay, but I need to hear your truth.
Yes.
And so we have to create platforms
Right.
in order for a person to speak their truth, because just like what you said, it's their truth.
Is there truth?
Yeah, you don't get to navigate that.
No more dog and pony show.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh man,
Yeah.
I had to stop playing. I never was good at it, but once I realized I was playing it, I got mad with myself, and I can't do this no more. I'm gonna speak the truth.
Amen.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, okay. Well, session 3, and we hope any councilmen, principals, anyone listening, please listen, contact Dr. Poe, who has worked in the system with the disabled, because our children need help.
Yep.
We're screaming, what is wrong with this child? Well, we got to go and help them.
Meet
Okay,
them where they
and-
are.
yes.
We can't expect them to get out of the ocean on their own if they're drowning.
It's
Yes.
increasing. It's increasing on every level.
Yes, and let's some parents, they're working hard. It's not like they're able to run and come,
Right.
like that. A lot of single parent homes. So let's just come together to help this one child.
Yeah.
And the church isn't immune either, because those are the kids that won't sit still in the pews.
That's true.
That's a whole nother topic. But, and that's true, because we, God designed the church for us to be helpers.
Right.
And so, but okay, thank you, Dr. Poe, because we're going to keep going. Okay, so again, at the end of our sessions, we always like to give out our mental health, not ours, but the community mental health hotlines, because we are not clinicians, we're not
Right.
specialists, we're just people that help beautiful people like Dr. Poe that talks about their process in life, and they're willing to share, and hopefully this will help others. There's the 988 hotline. That's a text 741 to 741. That's free 24/7 service. The NAMI, which is the National Alliance on Mental Illness, and you can go to their website and reach out to the state you live in. You can also call the 211. That's General Community Resource number, and that's a 24/7 number. And if nothing else, 911. Okay, because we don't want no one falling off the cliff.
That's right.
Mr. Perry.
Well, everybody reach out to your community, the mental health community, the disabled community, Easter Seals, and other organizations out there that can help you. And remember this: what is known by everybody in the family, but no one wants to hear it, and it's called truth. Remember, this has been Young People Nation, and remember, there is always hope.
There's always hope.
Let's go. Christ is the foundation. Know His word gon' lead us. Know I'm already going. Taking steps I believe in. Giving guidance to the youth. Giving guidance to the lost. Give the world to the project. Lead them back to the cross. He the #1 prospect. He the top boss. I was broke, I was empty. He the one that paid the cost. Really thought that I was cool. There was nothing like the Savior. Now it's time for the truth. The whole world been waiting. It's Young People Nation. 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 The whole world been waiting. Whatever you going through, I know what He gonna do. Don't matter the circumstance, we going back to the root. Keep going, keep going. Let that seed keep growing. You need peace and we know it. Now it's time to live holy. Young People Nation. You know what time it is. Young People Nation. Get ready, the time is here. Get ready, we vibing here. We about to let God in here. Young People Nation. It's Young People Nation. Yeah, do it for the heavens, you know where we going. Influenced by His love, you know we gotta show it. It's time to put the youth onto what God is doing. Cause I can tell you now, right now, that God is moving. It's Young People Nation.